Welcome to Megabucks Radio. Conversations with successful entrepreneurs, sharing their tips and strategies for success. Real-world ideas that can put megabucks in your bank account. Here's your host, Nina Hirschberger.
Well, welcome to today's show. I am so excited. You know, everybody I have on my show I learned something from somebody. But today, you guys, I hope you have your paper, your pencil, your pen, your recorder, whatever it is you got to have it today, because this is going to be a fast-paced, lots and lots of ideas. My guest today, 25 years ago, he decided he wasn't going to work for somebody else. He was going to do his own thing. So he got into the contracting business. He did a number of things. He had a roofing company, had an animal remediation, which he still has, but he got so good at his copywriting to sell the services he was selling that other people came to him and said, well, Everett, would you write for me? Would you do it for me? Would you do it? And he developed then another business that has actually grown larger than the original business, and he is a professional copywriter. But today on the show, I'm welcoming Everte Farnell, and we're going to primarily talk about brick-and-mortar type businesses, contracting service businesses like that, because he's got so many stories that I don't want you guys to miss. So anyway, welcome to today's show, Everte.
Well, thank you, Nina. You're very kind. That's a very kind introduction, and I'm excited to be here. You know, it's been a while since we've had the pleasure of talking, and it's nice to catch up, and hopefully we can bring some real value to your listeners.
Oh, no doubt we can bring a lot of value. So go back in time, though. Let's set the stage. Tell us how you got involved in the contracting service business. Tell us the backstory.
Well, I was a salesperson for years. I sold all kinds of things, sunrooms and roofs and advertising, and I mean, you name it. I bounced around, sold all kinds of different things. I've been accused of being adult ADHD. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do seem to get bored easily and go to something else. So anyway, a friend of mine called me and had a animal remediation company, and what we did was we would catch primarily raccoons, possums, or bats. When they got into your attic space, we'd catch them, get them out of there, and then we'd go in and clean up and repair the damage that they did to your attic space. So he knew I was looking for something, and he wanted to know if I wanted to help him run the sales and marketing, primarily the sales, really, because that's what I did. I was a salesperson. So I said, you know, he came in and explained the business to me and showed me some of the numbers, and it was a very high profit business. And I said, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it. So I started working with him, and eventually we built the business so much he gave me 25%. Just, you know, here, you're 25% owner of the business. Later on, that business partnership kind of dissolved, and I opened my own company. And by the way, we're still friends. My oldest friend. We've been friends for almost 30 years. But the business partnership dissolved, and I opened my own company, my own version of an animal remediation company. And it was just before I left, I found Dan Kennedy, and I don't recall exactly. I'd seen him at the big events, the Peter Lowe events. But I didn't buy anything from him. I just went home, and years later I ran across him somewhere. I don't recall where. It's not particularly important, but I ended up buying one of the books, the Ultimate Sales Letter and the Ultimate Marketing Plan, and a Magnetic Marketing, and I wrote a sales letter that was designed to get referral sources to refer jobs to us. So basically, nuisance wildlife trappers to refer jobs to us, and we paid them a commission, and, you know, referral fee and everything. And when we mailed that sales letter out to all the trappers in the state, we ended up booking enough business to make an extra $100,000 in profits in 30 days. Now, for full disclosure, it did take us longer than that to actually collect the profits, because a lot of that work was insurance work. So if you've ever dealt with a homeowner's insurance company trying to get them to pay for something, it takes a minute for them to actually write the check. But we booked the business all within 1 month, and to make an extra $100,000. So it was really exciting. Of course, at that point, I was completely hooked. You couldn't have got me away from copywriting with it just wasn't going to happen. It was just, it was stunning, to say the least.
Can I pause a second, because I want to ask some questions about that. So it was
Sure.
a letter that you were sending to referral sources, if I understood right. How
Yes,
many
ma'am,
letters
that's
did you
exactly
send
right.
out? How many letters did you send out?
I don't recall, but it was maybe,
Best guess.
maybe no more than 100. 100 would have been the most.
Okay, was it a number 10 envelope? Was it anything special?
Nothing special, just a regular number 10 envelope with a 5-page sales letter folded up and put inside. And we made an offer. We ran a contest. So we ran now, like I said, this is a high profit business. So we ran a contest to the person who sent us the most referrals that actually became customers. At the end of the year, we put up a truck. So we're going to buy them a brand new truck.
And you did, obviously.
Yeah. Well, the guy who won, when we were going to buy him his truck, he said, "You know what? I just bought a truck. I don't need a truck. What I'd like is this 4-wheel drive golf cart thing, so that when I go hunting." So we bought him that instead. But yeah, we made good. We absolutely made good on the contest.
So let's pull that apart a little bit, because obviously the cost of sending 100 letters, 5 pages in a number 10 envelope, is like almost nothing. Nothing.
It was maybe $150.
So when I'm writing my book, How to Double Your Profits Without Spending Any Money, okay, we'll spend $150. I consider that almost nothing and stuff. So it was the power of the words. Did you do anything unusual inside there besides just long copy?
There was no grabbers. It was the most basic of basic. I could do it so much better today, but it was the most basic of basic things that you'd ever see. There was nothing special about it. We just literally printed off the letters on a computer, folded them up, and stuck them in an envelope, and hand addressed them and mailed them out. There was no printer involved. There was nothing exciting involved. And by the way, you could have done the same thing by calling. If you really had no money to spend, you could do the same thing by calling everybody. But that would have been a lot. It would have taken a lot of time. So better to spend the $150. But if you just don't have the dough, if it's really you need to do it with no money, you could do the same process and just do it by making phone calls.
Well, I always say the post person is my favorite person in the world, because they become my 24-hour salesperson. They'll bring it anytime. So, all right. So let's talk about some contracting service. Your animal remediation that you still have. Let's talk about upselling. Do you have any stories about how you could upsell somebody to without spending money?
Sure. Well, upsells are probably the best way to make instant, other than raising your prices. Upsells are probably the best way to make instant, significant changes to your revenue stream, because it costs you nothing to generate. It costs you no more money to generate the lead. It's already there, and you just make them another offer. So we used to have several different offers that we would make somebody. One of them. We used to, once we did the job, then obviously the person got a warranty for the job, but we would offer them an extended warranty for an extra small fee that they would pay. They'd pay for, it's been a long time ago, but it was not a significant amount of money, but it was just some extra money that came from nowhere. We never had a problem with animals getting back into the house anyway. So we just said, hey, if you want 10 years instead of 5 years, it's $1,000, and it's okay. And some of them bought and some of them didn't buy, but it was just extra money out of nowhere. There was just, it just showed up. We also, of course, raising prices, but I imagine we'll get to that in a minute. But the upsells are in virtually any business, you can find a way to upsell them with something, even if you're upselling them somebody else's product. So if you have a business, like for example, in the contracting business, you might upsell them a painting, have another company that paints, and you upsell them a paint job for the other company, and the other company goes and does everything, and you just collect, a profit off of that, or a referral fee, or whatever arrangement you have with the other contractor. So yeah, I mean, there's 1,000 different ways to upsell them. And in our case, we just had them buy a warranty, which worked well for us because we didn't have a problem. I mean, frankly, people might get upset about it or not. I don't know, but it was that we never had to make good on any warranties because there was never any warranty work, if that makes sense. The work was done. We did the work so well, there was never a reason for a warranty. But I consider it like an extended warranty at a computer. You go and buy a computer, and they charge you for an extended warranty if you want one. Now, you're probably not going to need it, but if you do, it's nice to have it.
Yeah, when you're trying to figure out your offers like that, whether it is an upsell or something, do you have a brainstorming method that you go through, or maybe? That's far too systematized for me. I'm an erratic SOB. To be honest with you, Nina, I don't. Do I have a system? Really, my system is think about it as much as I can think about it until I'm done thinking about it, and then don't think about it until the idea pops up. And it usually pops up when I'm in the shower or swimming or in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping. I don't know if that's much help to your listeners, but honestly, that's my method. I think about it sometimes weeks on end. I'll think about it for hours a day, and then I just put it away and stop thinking about it. And within a few days, the idea jumps out of my subconscious. Well, I could imagine having at least a whiteboard or a piece of paper or something. And you've got upsell, cross-sell, downsell, joint venture, all the kinds of things we talk about. And when that moment, that inspiration hits you, it would go in one of those columns. Does that,
right.
Let's talk about raising prices. You said we'll talk about that in a minute, and I did want to talk about that. So is there any method that you use to raise prices, or did you just simply say, okay, today it's going to be X number of dollars?
Well, as funny as it might sound, in the case with the animal remediation company, now I have something a little more formalized with the roofing company we can talk about, but with the animal remediation company, it literally happened just one day. We were charging whatever fee we were charging at the time. It was some very nominal fee, and the insurance companies, I was, as part of my job was to negotiate with the insurance companies. And they were just running us a merry chase. I mean, it was just pulling teeth, and we're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So finally, I said to my business partner, we're not charging, X amount per square foot anymore. We're charging double that much. And he said, do you think we can do that? I said, I don't know, but I'm tired of fighting with these guys and getting paid 50 cents on the dollar. And the next job we had, the insurance companies, not only was it way easier to negotiate the deal with them, but they actually paid us gladly paid us more than we were charging before we raised the prices. So literally, it was just one day I got tired of fighting with the insurance company, so I raised the price so I wouldn't have to fight so hard, and we could still get the same money. That was my thought process, and it worked brilliantly.
It sounds like you might have been talking about the roofing company with that example. Am I right?
No, that's the animal remediation company. Now,
really?
The roofing company,
okay.
The roofing company, there was a little bit more of a formalized process with it. So I had a business partner in that company too. And I tend to be the sales and office guy, and my business partners tend to be the operation people. So they're the ones who are going out and doing the work, and I'm the one who's selling the work, generating the leads, finding the work, and handling the office side of things. So in the roofing company, I sat down with my business partner and I said, okay, look, everybody's charging X amount of money. At the time, it was $350 a square. So a roofing square is 100 square feet. So everybody was charging $350 a square to do a roof, and that was kind of like the most. A lot of people were charging between 300 and 350, and there were a few guys doing it for $250, but they were those were not the roofers you wanted to have work on your house. They were terrible. So we sat down and said, okay, well, listen, what do we have to do to charge $400 to $450 a square? And we said, okay, well, we're going to have to offer them something that differentiates us between everybody else. So we said, well, what if we used this kind of premium underlayment, and what if we used this kind of shingle instead of the normal kind of shingle? It was a beefier, heavier shingle, a more premium shingle. And what if we use stainless steel nails instead of regular nails? So when most roofing companies, when they put a roof on a house, now this is not true with commercial application, but with residential application, most roofing companies are using galvanized hot dipped nails, which will rust over a period of time. So your shingles are held on with rusty nails. So we started using stainless steel nails, which was actually a commercial level application, which of course stainless steel doesn't rust at all. So we made these choices and we priced them out, and we found out that incrementally it would cost us a very small amount of extra. It would cost a little bit more, but like $10 a square, $15 a square. But we could charge $100 to $150 a square more if we put this style roof on, and we used everybody from the same manufacturer, and we used the proper shingles where they go. And I can explain what I mean with the proper shingles and how they go if you want me to, but suffice it to say there's different shingles used on different parts of your roof. And then so when we went and sat down with somebody, we said, okay, this is what everybody else does. This is what we do. This is the roofing system we put on. This is the advantages. Here's the advantages over the other one. But when you're doing something like this, it costs a little extra money. So if you really want a great roof on your house, it's going to cost you a little extra money. If you want to have that mediocre roof put on that just barely passes code, then that's your decision, and that's fine, but we're not the roofer for you. And we went from selling $200,000 of roofs to $1.94 million of roofs in just about 2 years. So when I bought in August of 2010, when I bought into the company was averaging, about $4,000 a week in sales. And when I got out of the company in 2012, we averaged about $40,000, just under $40,000 a week. I think it was about $38,000 a week in sales for 2012. And a lot of that was because we just raised the prices. But then, interestingly enough, we also sold a lot more because we were selling a better roof, and people recognized we were able to describe why it was a better roof. So when you start looking at raising prices, part of what you want to do is you want to look at how you can offer a premium version of what you're selling. Now, of course, you say, well, that costs money. Well, it doesn't really cost money because you're not spending the money until you go out and do the work, until you get paid to do the work. So your costs on a job go up a little bit, but that doesn't really mean you're spending more money. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I do. So let me ask you, did you only give them one offer, which is the premium, or did you say, okay, I've got three versions of this that we could do, or was it just?
We had a good, better, best, and everything was aimed at them taking the better. That we didn't sell. We may have sold a few of the good, but we really did not want to sell those, and we didn't sell any of the best. And the best was $600 a square. Now prices have gone up since. Understand this was 10 years ago, so prices have gone up since then. But at the time, it was $600 a square, and it was a roof that had a lifetime leak warranty. As long as you own the house, and then or the person you sell it to, it was transferable one time. As long as they own the house, your roof is guaranteed never to leak, or we'll come back and fix it for free. And there was a way that we constructed the roof that made that a viable option. But nobody ever bought it because, it was outrageously expensive. But because it was so expensive, it made the middle version look quite reasonable by comparison.
Well, you and I both are Dan Kennedy. We've been mentored by him. And I'll never forget, he always says you need to have one really high, crazy priced option, because it does make the other option you wanted to take so much more reasonable. Right.
Yeah. Well, I didn't make it up. I've never made anything up in my life when it comes to marketing. I'm very good at copying, and that's what I do.
So that is definitely one lesson. So anybody listening to this, no matter what business you're in, let's say it's a dentist. would a dentist have a good, better, best kind of option?
Well, I would if I was a dentist. And of course, I'm not familiar with, I think a lot of it naturally is good, better, best. So I know I have a couple of caps. And when we were talking about the caps, there was there was the basic cap, and then there was the mid-grade cap, and then there was the top cap, which was the most expensive, but looked like an exact replica of your teeth. Nobody could ever tell the difference. So I think in a lot of ways they are naturally in there. People just don't think of them like that. But yeah, I think it's very basic with a dentist to have a good, better, best. I mean, you have mercury alloy filling, or you have a tooth-colored filling, or you have a premium other kind of filling, and it's just good, better, best, just like anything else. With the caps, you have the basic cap, you have the cap that's tooth-colored, you have the cap that looks exactly like real teeth. Which one do you want? I'm sure if I sat down with a dentist, because each dentist has, the practice a little different. Are they implant dentists? Are they general dentists? Are they, dentists that deal with diabetes? I know that's a big thing because your teeth are related to diabetes. So there's a whole host of different kinds of dentists. But if we get down into their, if we got down into their practice, then absolutely, virtually everything could be offered with a good, better, best, and should be offered with a good, better, best.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, talk about joint ventures. That's another way to increase your bottom line without spending money.
Yeah, when you have there's all kinds of ways to do them. When you have a customer, when you have a customer base, you have a group of customers, and of course I know the people who are listening to your podcast, Nina, are sharp enough that they have a list. Maybe some of them don't use it, but I'm sure they all keep track of it. And so when you have a customer list or a customer base or a group of prospects, then you have everything that you need to go find somebody else in a complementary business to sell to you, to sell back and forth. So since I have a contracting background, let's use contracting. When somebody makes an upgrade to their house, then they are, if you'll excuse the term, in heat to have something else done to their house. So they put a new roof on their house, and now the new roof is brand new, but the paint job is 10 years old and doesn't look quite so good. They're absolute fantastic prospects just to say, you got that beautiful brand new roof on yours, but I got to tell you, the roof looks gorgeous, but it does greatly contrast the paint job on the house. Would you like me to have somebody come out and give you a bid on doing a paint job, just so that they both look brand sparkling new and it really makes the house pop? A lot of people say, yeah, I'd love to have a bid on that. And so it becomes very easy to do that. Same thing if you're doing, same thing if, your roof is great, but your kitchen's kind of old. Now, of course, you'd want to be a little more elegant than that, right? We don't want to start insulting somebody's house. I'm being a little crude with it, but you understand the point I'm trying to make. People walk up and the kitchen's beautiful, or the roof is beautiful and the painting is beautiful, but they walk in the house and everything's 15 years old, and it's like, so new flooring, new kitchens, I mean, all that. And of course, you don't want to do all that stuff yourself. You don't want to hire crews and train people and figure out and do bits. No. You go find somebody who does it and make a deal with them that you get a certain percentage, or they give you a wholesale price and then they charge a retail price and give you the difference, or whatever arrangements you can make with them. If we're talking about it, go ahead.
Well, would you make a directory? I mean, like a vetted contractor directory. So, Sue Smith, we appreciated putting your roof in. By the way, there are things that I have found that other people want to have done, and so I have vetted some others. Would you do that, or have you done that?
I have not, but I think it's an excellent idea. I've considered it. When I was in the business, I considered doing that, but honestly, I made the mistake of wanting to do it all myself, wanted to do it all in-house, and that was a mistake. It held us back. So, learn from my mistake. But yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea, is putting together a group of contractors, and then ensuring when they call course, if you're going to give them if you're going to give them a directory, then you got to make sure that when they call the directory, that you know about it and that the other contractor knows that they're coming from you, so that so you get the proper credit. But that's a small logistical hurdle to overcome. So yeah, I think that's a great idea.
It could actually be. I mean, it could be extremely profitable. It could be as simple as getting a separate phone number. There's Google phone numbers. In the past,
Sure,
I've used Call 8, which is KALL. And so you could, so the phone number that's in there, not only do you get to hear the interaction, but when a phone call has been made. So it could be worth that.
Absolutely. I think it's a wonderful idea, and I think people should do it. And you can do the same thing, by the way. You don't have to do that only in the contracting business. So we use the dentist example. No reason at all that a dentist, especially a dentist who's doing any cosmetic work, there's no reason at all a dentist can't have an anti-aging doctor in a directory. There's no reason at all that a dentist can't have a boutique, a fashion boutique in the directory. You get these beautiful teeth, and now you're going to wear your same old clothes? Really? No, you got to go get a new wardrobe. You got to go to the anti-aging doctor and get your wrinkles removed, and and help lose some weight and get back in better shape, and et cetera, et cetera. There's when people start buying, I mean, as you well know, when people start buying, they're in heat to buy the same thing or the same kinds of things that they're buying. Why do people have cosmetic work? Well, they have cosmetic work because they want to look better. Well, if you want to look better, then there's a whole lot of other ways to look better too. And you don't want to have, you don't have a beautiful set of teeth and old clothes and, and the same fat belly. Now, I say that because I have a fat belly that I'm losing. So don't get mad at me when I say it, dear listener, because if you are a heavy person like me, then I'm in the same boat with you. So don't get pissed off at me.
Let's talk about list. We've mentioned that a couple of times. So obviously, I always say whenever you're going to do any direct mail, the most important thing is the list. Who's getting it? People, I'm known around the world for my wallet mailer. People ask me, well, what kind of response can I get? I said, well, it depends on the offer that you're making to the person, because if you are selling hearing aids and your list is 18-year-olds, chances are you're not going to sell one darn one. So
exactly.
So we've got two kinds of lists. We have customer lists. Well, actually more than one. We have customer lists. We have prospect lists, people who have said, I might be interested, but we never bought. And then we have cold lists. As a copywriter, that's got to be a big deal to you. So talk about lists a little bit.
Well, it just like you said, the list is what determines your response. So, the big secret that a lot of copywriters don't like to tell you is that the truth is when we're figuring out a campaign, what makes more difference than anything else is the list. You can have mediocre copy to a perfectly attuned list with a good offer and get a fantastic response, whereas you can have the best copywriter in the world write just something, as you say, write something for an hearing aid company and mail it to a bunch of 18-year-olds, and it doesn't matter how brilliant the copy is, nobody's buying. So the list really makes all of the difference in the world. Now, the problem is that clients, in my case, but business owners in general want to be cheap about the list. Right? They want to get some kind of grabber. If they know something about direct mail, they want to spend a bunch of money, get a little grabber. They want to spend a bunch of money on design, a bunch of money on copy. They want to take a bunch of time to do that. And then they want to do EDDM, every door direct mail.
Yeah.
Relax. No. Let's go find the perfect prospect.
There could be somebody on here who doesn't know what that stands for. So please explain that.
It's a postal service where they go every door direct mail. So you put a direct mail piece in every mailbox in a given carrier route. And I think there's a minimum number of carrier routes you have to do. I don't like EDDM. I don't do it. I'm familiar with it, but I don't do it, so I'm not an expert on it. But it's basically mailing to every single person in a neighborhood or in a group of neighborhoods, et cetera. And of course that's the worst possible way. Even if you're a business that pulls from a geographic location, better to better to write 4 or 5 different pieces specifically targeted to specific prospects in your area. So even if you're a restaurant, better to write a prospect for single people, or write a piece for single people, write a piece for married couples with no kids, write a piece for married couples with kids, write a piece for grandparents, for older retired couples, right? You're better off writing those 4 or 5 different pieces. I know it's a pain in the ass. Nobody wants to do it, but you put the work in on the front end and you get so much better response on the back end. And, people do the work on the front end. Instead of taking 15 minutes and putting together a list of coupons that you've used 4,000 times and doing every door direct mail, actually take a little time and then segment your neighborhood, segment the area that you're going to, and mail a different piece to the different demographics. You'll get a better response. You can cycle through the pieces, and they'll last longer. A secret people don't realize is that when you send a piece of direct mail out, first, most people don't even open it. But the people who do open it, they don't remember it 3 months later. There's too much going on in their lives. They don't remember reading that. After they've read it 4 or 5 times, you send it 4 times a year. After they've read it for a year, 4 times in a year, they might start to think, is this the thing that they've mailed before? I think I've seen this before. But even then, it doesn't delete, it doesn't reduce its effectiveness. So you can take marketing pieces and cycle them through like that. And if they're targeted to the right people, you're going to do way better with them. Yeah, it costs a little bit more. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt to do in the front end instead of just putting the 4 or 5 coupons together. But you're going to get so much better response that you'd be out of your mind not to do it.
Well, now what you're talking about is a cold list, is a purchase list, I say always start with your customer base list.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
99 times out of 100, they haven't been in touch with their customer base. Let me give you an example. This was during COVID. So my husband and I moved from northern Indiana to the Indianapolis area in Indiana. And so I had to find a new dentist. So I go in, a recommendation from somebody that I knew, and so I went into this one dentist. Now, remember, I have been to the dentist every 6 months since I was probably 2 years old. Every 6 months, without fail.
Okay.
I go into this dentist, they do all of these exams and all these x-rays and all this, blah, 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 and they say, well, you need $2,400 worth of work. I'm thinking, what? And so do I accept the offer? No. I leave. And, of course, they never follow up again. COVID hits. Dentists are all, they're all shuttered. Nobody's coming in unless it's an absolute emergency. Now, if they were smart and they could have reached out to me during that period of time and saying, we know we're closed. We know we gave you this offer of $2,400. Tell you what, we want to put you on the very front of when we open back up, you can come back in, and we're going to give you a discounted rate for being one of our very best customers coming into the first part of it. Something. But of course,
absolutely.
Crickets. Nothing. No,
and then they complain. Oh, well, this isn't, the business is so bad. We're having a tough time staying open. It's terrible. Well, and they're not picking up the money that's laying at their feet.
Exactly. Talk about customer newsletters. You and I did not talk about this before we got on the call. Are you a fan of customer or patient newsletters, printed newsletters in the mail kind of newsletter, not an e-newsletter? Those are too easy.
Well, I don't think anybody. I don't even consider an e-newsletter a newsletter. I think that's an email. You're doing email marketing. You're not doing newsletter marketing. And yes, the answer is I am a huge fan of newsletters, and you'd be surprised how many people actually read them. So when you have a local business, you send out and look, it's not difficult to do. People have this idea that it takes 16 hours, 20 hours to put. You can put these things together in no time at all. First, you buy templates all over the place. I mean, you probably even offer something to people, or know somebody who can offer something to people. But it take you, even if you're not a writer, at most, it take you a couple hours one day to write an article and edit it. And of course, if I'm writing, it takes me half an hour to pump one out real quick. It's nothing. But even if it takes you 2.5 hours, it's once a month. You plug it into a templated email, and it's just an excuse to mail something. The mistake people make is they want to tell people all about their business and their industry. So, you do a newsletter, and they want to tell people, business owners want to tell people about the latest, the latest developments in dry cleaning, and nobody cares. So that's, you got to get that out of your head. The point of the newsletter is to make you relatable and to make your business and the people in your business, your employees, to make them recognizable. So, Jane is employee of the month, and here's my kids, and this is what's going on. And say, well, nobody's interested in that. You'd be stunned. It's amazing. It's how many people are interested in that. It's shocking how many people want to be voyeuristic and look into other people's lives. Well, I mean, just look at reality TV. Supposedly reality TV, right? I mean, we all know it's not really reality, but everybody wants to watch it. So you do a little article about some local news, something interesting in the local news, a human interest story, something about, something complimentary about your employees or the new person you just hired, a little something about the vacation you took with your kids or whatever, and mail that out, plug that into a template and mail it out, and people will eat it up. And the thing is what happens. See, now we're going to start getting a little bit into the psychology of it. It's not just a matter of staying top of mind. What happens is people start to feel like they know you. People, especially if you do it over a long period of time, people are going to experience your children growing up with you. They're going to experience, wins that you've had in your life and wins that your business has had, and new people who have come work for you. And Sarah got married. Sarah at the office got married, and we're all so happy for her. And we want to send our condolences because John's mother passed away last month, and she was a single mother and raised John, and people people feel like they know you and your staff. So if you have a butcher, baker, candlestick maker, whatever, and somebody wants to go buy some meat or buy a cake or get some candlestick, you know what I mean? Like whatever they want to do. Are they going to look in the phone book, or are they going to go talk to the people who they know and who they love because they've been reading about them for the last 12 months, 24 months, 36 months? And that's what makes it so powerful, is that it creates a bond, a very sticky bond between you and your marketplace.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant advice. Now, we've segued a little bit out of what you can do for free would cost nothing, because obviously putting a newsletter in a mailbox, there is a cost to that. I always say, first of all, I do not like, this is a personal opinion, I do not like for color anything, because that's what everybody does. So if everybody does it, I don't do it. So I like, if you're going to do a newsletter, change out the color of stock of paper that you use, but put black toner on it so that it just, the color changes each month, maybe, red for Valentine's Day or whatever. But here's another thing is you can find, I just read something that some high school senior wrote. It was an article that she wrote for a local newsletter, a newspaper, I guess. It was very well done. If you don't like to do it, go to the local high school or college or junior college or something and find somebody that, so and make it. I'll never forget, years ago, I was working in corporate America. I was responsible to buy copiers. And one day I said to the guy who sold the copiers to us, I said, who's the number one salesperson in your company? And they said, it's this woman down in Florida. I said, what does she do different than everybody else? Well, she has this goofy newsletter who tells about her vacations and her kids and her, but would you think anybody else took that advice and did anything? Absolutely not. Now, recently I had a client who is in the insurance business, and he has got 18,000 people who they have written business with. So he's got a customer list of 18,000. That would be pretty expensive. However, his business is focused primarily getting those customers primarily by really developing his centers of influence, his referral sources. Well, guess what? That's a much smaller list.
Absolutely.
What if you created that newsletter for that list and, just sent something out fun all the time? So, even if you don't do, the point is doing something is better than doing nothing, because people will forget. I'm sitting here in my home office. Well, go ahead.
If I can just interject just for a second, I wanted to comment. You said mailing a newsletter. Actually, there's some cost to it, and while yes, there are some costs to it, but the question is, if you spend $500 a month, right? And if you're a smaller business, it's going to be less than that. It might be $20. But if you're spending $500 or $1,000 or $1,500 a month to mail newsletters out to your current, customers and prospects, but you can attribute $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month. See, so I know I'm stretching the idea free a little bit, but if you're bringing in, $10, $20, $50, $100 for every dollar that you spend on the newsletter, then are you really spending any money? Is it really a cost, or is it a smart investment? You know what I mean? So I understand it's not free, but just because it's not free doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it costs you any money.
Actually, I thought you were going to go down. Yeah, it does make sense. I thought you were going to go down another path, which why didn't I think? I have a client that I've created their newsletter for the last 7 years. And what they do is they charge complimentary kind of businesses to be featured in their newsletter.
Perfect.
So it does. So Perfect. It is free. It is free.
Yes.
They've got the list.
Else paying for it.
That's exactly right. So it does become free. Yes. Oh, Evert, we could be talking forever and ever and ever. You are a wealth. I mean, I love it. I could just keep going, but I am looking at the clock. Is there any one thing, we have a few more minutes, is there something that as you're thinking about everything that I've asked or anything we've talked about, is there something I missed? Some nugget that somebody listening to this really ought to know about?
Well, I don't know that I would say that you missed it, but what I would say is that you actually mentioned it just a second ago, and that's do something. Start contacting your clients, start contacting your customers, start contacting your prospects for something, and goodness gracious, follow up with people. Just even if it's just a quick phone call, but better that you should have a follow-up sequence, but at least make a phone call to somebody who you've given a quote to, who hasn't, who didn't close right away. But just do something. Start doing something. Start mailing something. Buy a stamp. Buy an ad. Well, I don't have any money. I can't buy a stamp. Buy an ad. Fine. Find something else to sell to your existing customers and get on the phone and start selling it. Well, I don't have time to get on the phone. Fine. Hire somebody to get on the phone and tell them you give them you'll give them a commission on everything they sell. Do something. And that's, we are facing a very tough economy over the next several years. It's not going to be pretty. And the companies who take action, who don't just sit there, sit on their thumb and do the same thing they've always done and complain that nobody's buying and nobody's doing business and there's no money out there. Those companies are going to leave. But the companies who are proactive and who do something, you can learn while you're doing it. You can improve while you're doing it, but start moving. Norman Schwarzkopf, the famous general from Desert Storm years ago, used to say it's much easier to change the direction of an army than it is to get them going. So you just do something. And the companies who do something will find, interestingly enough, that they are going to be doing, that not only will they be around, but here's the very exciting part to me, is that, yes, business will fall off, but more of your competition will fall off, so there'll be more prospects per business. So if you start doing something now, you literally have the opportunity to increase your business through the tough times that we're facing, and even more exciting, once you increase your business through those tough times, then you have the opportunity to really explode it as things start getting better on the other side of this.
Okay, I got one more question. You talked about sequence.
Alrighty.
To me, that might mean automation through a customer resource management system. Is that what you were talking about when you were sequence? I mean, in other words, should a business at least invest in some sort of automation to help them, manage everything they got to do?
It depends on how big they are. So the answer is, at some point, yes, every business should. But you may or may not be at that point, dear listener. Do whatever you have to do. If you have to do, the red brick is the first contact, the yellow brick is the second contact, the green brick is the third contact. If that's what you have to do, then do that. It doesn't matter what you're doing. This can be as easy or as complicated as it needs to be. If you have a sequence, if you have a system and a sequence, and you just simply print out labels every day of people who you need to mail to, and you have 3 sets of labels, and everybody who responds gets torn off of, you mail out the first one, somebody responds, they get torn off of label set 2 and label set 3. And then everybody who responds to the second one gets torn off label set 3, and whoever's left gets mailed to the third piece, even if it's something as primitive as that. Now, at some point, you're going to want to get more sophisticated than that. But whatever but do whatever you need to do at the time to keep track of it. But definitely everybody should have systems and sequences that they can use to generate business. And I'm talking about front-end business. I'm talking about upsell business. I'm talking about resale business. I'm talking about, you name it, any kind of business, follow-up business, appointment, no sale. If you have an appointment, if you have a sales company, you have an appointment with somebody, they don't show up, then you have a sequence for that. So every kind of business should definitely have these kind of systems in place. And however you need to manage them now, you manage them now. And then as you grow, you start getting into more software automation that can help you manage the systems easier. But do whatever you got to do now to do that.
Oh, Everett, this was just fantastic. So I've got this feeling somebody's going to be listening to this and they're going to say, I need to get a hold of Everett. So what's the best way, and do you have any kind of special offer to those listening?
Well, for your listeners, Nina, I have decided that I'm going to bring back an offer that I have not done in a long time because it's very time consuming. But I'd like to do it for your listeners if they want to contact me. And what it is I call it my 15-minute, $10,000 phone call. So you get on the phone with me for 15 minutes, and I will guarantee that in those 15 minutes, I will find you $10,000 in your business that you didn't know was there. And, if you don't, you get your money back. But I can't give you your 15 minutes back. But I guarantee you that I'll find $10,000. I have yet to not find, frankly, I've yet not to find $20 or $30 or $50,000 in every business I talk to. So I have no question in my mind that we can get this set up for your people. If they want to get in touch with me, my email address is Everte Farnell, and that's E like Echo, V like Victor, E like Echo, R like Romeo, T like Tango, E like Echo. Farnell is F like Frank, A like Alpha, R like Romeo, N like November, E like Echo, L like Lima, L like Lima, @gmail.com, or they can just give me a call or a text at 352-421-4180.
All right, perfect. Is that 15 minutes free, or is there a cost to that 15 minutes?
Nope, absolutely free.
Okay. Well, who wouldn't take you up on that? That's amazing. So it is an honor to have you on the radio show today. I'm thrilled. So my challenge to the rest of you that have been listening here, what are you going to do today? Not tomorrow, not next week, but what are you going to do today of the things that Everett shared with you to make a difference in your business? Until next time, this is Nina Hirschberger.
Thank you for listening to Megabucks Radio with Nina Hirschberger. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or to listen to past episodes, visit megabucksradio.com.